wait no longer. Greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. And without further ado, the greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. It's, what is it, like the week now, technically after E3? Right?
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Yes.
It seems forever ago, but
thank God. Alongside us, our very special guest, Derek from SDGC. How are you, sir?
Nope. SDGC, we did it again.
My dyslexia.
The acronym is it's hard because you have 3 different E sounds altogether. It's super deformed Gamescast, if that makes life any easier. But yeah, none of us use the full name anymore, so it's just an acronym that means nothing to people. So yeah, it's all good. Dude, John, Mr. Megative, still screws that up from time to time, and he's the guy who started the show. So please do not feel bad.
All right, good. No, I love your guys' content over there. It's an amazing show. I always try to listen to it live when I can.
Yeah, we see you guys in chat a lot, and much appreciation.
Of course. So with that, it's Pride Month, so we want to bring in LGBTQ plus content creators to the show so that you get to see a more variety on YouTube or on your podcast feed, because you just don't get to see too many LGBTQ creators here. So with that, Derek, thank you so much for coming aboard, man.
And I know, and thank you guys for having me on. I mean, I think it's really cool and really important, to put that spotlight on LGBT people. I will say that I think you'd be surprised probably how many people around you in the industry and in your life are queer that you maybe don't realize are, because obviously we're not all walking around with a big sign floating over our head that says that. We may be in the closet with ourselves. We may be in the closet to society. We may be out, but not like openly broadcasting. It's the kind of thing where, if you didn't see somebody on a date with someone of the same gender that you would go, oh, well, then they're queer. And of course you get people like me who are bisexual or pansexual. And like, I'm in a long-term relationship with a woman, and, most people would never know that I am queer, but like I am. And there are people, who would greatly dislike me because of that. And it's still the way that I am. I'm still attracted to people of all genders. So, it's silly. It's such a little thing, but
it matters.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, like one of my best friends, they're trans, and that's what got my eyes open to the whole movement. Was like, before I was so just closed off from it, I was just like, oh, it's weird. And then like, once they came out to me, I was just like, oh no. Like, once you have people come out to you, it becomes much more real and much more important.
Yep.
So
once it's different when you don't have anybody who's immediately in your group. Like, you can even be supportive, but you're kind of passively supportive.
Yep.
And then either you make a friend that you find out is queer or trans, or it's, you find out that about somebody who's already in your group. And then suddenly that becomes an intensely personal issue for you, because you realize like, no, this hits very close to home.
Oh yeah.
And I think as we move forward, one of the brightest things I can say about phobia towards the LGBT community is that more and more people are coming out, and more people are more open about it, and more people live with somebody in their circles who is LGBT. And once you're exposed to that, you can't be a homophobe if, one of your best friends is gay, right? Like, it doesn't really work out that way. I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's really hard to, I guess I should say.
It's really hard to just like fucking hate people, like,
Yeah.
Like, unless they're Alex Jones, it's really difficult for me to just go, oh my God.
Turn the friggin' frog's gay.
With that said, every single show we start off, before we talk about the news, before we talk about Final Fantasy VII, the PlayStation 5 stronger than the Xbox, who knows what they're going to call it, we got to talk about what we've been playing. Kyle, you've been holding out on me for weeks. You've been like, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, no.
And I had to make sure, like, before we went live, like, Joe, are you going to restrict what I talk about? Because I played a lot.
So
since last week.
start it off. What have you been playing with?
So the first one I want to talk about is a VR game that I wanted to talk about last week, but I didn't have the money to get. Was Trover Saves the Universe, which is the next game from Justin Roiland, who's the creator of Rick and Morty. If you like that type of humor, this game is for you.
Love it.
Something I do appreciate because I do have nieces that sometimes like to watch me play games.
Yeah.
They give you an option of if you want to play it censored or just straight up like he was intended.
Oh, that's awesome. So like, do they like bleep out words? Or like
I didn't do censored because I would wait till they went to bed. Just because I like the humor of the non-censored version, but I love that it is giving you that option. And man, it is super funny if you like that type of humor. I like the way that it uses VR in a platforming way. You basically they're called Chairorpians, and you can play as a Chairorpian who's stuck in a chair and can only rotate like in 90 degrees. That's how you see around you, and you move by teleporting, by controlling Trover, who is like the main character of the game. You bring him to different telepods, and you teleport to the pod's base when he touches it. And there's some like cool upgrades. You got to find like these little green babies that basically Trover uses as drugs. Like it is a crazy
I heard,
over the top game.
Like his power ups, he sticks things in his eyes.
Oh well, those are just how he sees. But when he gets a new power up, he takes one out, and then it eats the other new power up, and then the color changes, and he puts it back into his eye hole. It's a weird game. The humor's great though.
That sounds like Justin.
It does. It totally sounds like Justin.
What you said, babies like drugs, and
What's a her chair orient or whatever?
Yeah. It's great. It's an easy platinum. I platinumed it. It is a fun. It's a really fun game. I would definitely.
You already platinumed? How long is this game?
Man. It probably will take you maybe 10 hours to platinum if you really want to. The hardest one is like you have to score 100 baskets with paper. Like there's a basketball thing in your teleport.
Oh god, they do the same shit in Blood and Truth. I hate that.
It's bad.
They have still not figured out the physics. What else have you been playing?
As the resident huge Borderlands fan here on the trophy room, Joe has never played it. How dare you?
Never will.
When they announced last week at E3 that there's going to be DLC that bridges the gap from 2 to 3, I was all for it. So I played that one.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the full title. It's something about saving Sanctuary or the fight for Sanctuary. I'm pretty sure. And it's great. Like it's fun to dive back into Borderlands 2. I haven't played that.
Do you see where the story's going from the second to the third one now perfectly?
They set it up really, really well. And I do feel really prepared to go into 3. A lot of characters in 2 get great send-offs. A lot of characters come back, and it's a nice little bow on what Borderlands 2 is, and it really preps you into what 3 is going to be, and I can't wait for September.
And what's the last game you've been playing?
The last game I said a couple weeks ago, this summer, I am making it the summer of The Witcher 3, and today I finally played maybe 4 hours of it for the first time, and I'm an idiot for not playing it sooner. Like, like an hour in, I was like, oh no, I totally get it. And my favorite thing is, like, I'm not even doing the main quest. I'm finding all these side things, and each side quest is so fleshed out, like it boggles my mind,
dude,
how deep this game is, and I'm only like 4 hours in.
Wait till you get to the Baron, because that's one of my favorite quests just ever. So freaking good. Witcher 3, amazing.
I'm in awe, and like I was already psyched for Cyberpunk, but
now
if
this
it's
is just
anywhere even close to like this kind of level of detail, like yes, give it to me.
Derek, what have you been playing, man?
So I've been playing for the last little bit here. Everyone in SDGC has fallen hard into Final Fantasy 14 again. I guess there's some longtime players and some of us like me and John where it's really our first time. So I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I've fallen in hard. I'm very appreciative of the fact it's really good. I don't really play MMOs, but I'm really into it. I'm leveling up quickly, which is a good feeling. That I don't feel like I'm having to grind as bad as all the stories told me I would. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan in general, so I appreciate a lot of the I appreciate all of the the music and the trappings and the aesthetic of Final Fantasy in there. So I'm having a lot of fun there. I'm really appreciating the fact that you've got crossplay between PC and PlayStation 4 because we play on different systems. So
Now that there's a new expansion coming out because I know.
Yeah,
like,
Shadowbringers is in
Shadowbringer,
just a couple weeks here. I think it's beginning of July.
Because how I know it's coming out is there's a hilarious commercial of Hannibal Buress and
Tom Holland.
Dude,
Yeah.
great. I'm just like, damn, like they know how to, like, I'm not even interested, but now I'm interested, you know? Yeah. Oh God. Such a
But
good
so I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, kind of in preparation for Shadowbringers, because my thought process was if I really fall into it, then when Shadowbringers comes out, I'll buy like the instant level up pass for a character, get max level, and then that way I can literally just burn through story missions and get to the dungeons and raids that everyone says is the stuff that you really got to be into. That, and then of course the other day Bloodstained finally released, and I was a Kickstarter backer. So
How much did
very
you put
excited.
down? How much
I put down $60.
Okay. All right.
I put down full-grown game monies on it because I trust in my boy Iga.
I can't.
I've been very happy with it so far. I've been tremendously pleased with Bloodstained. I think it's lacking a little visual polish, especially in regards to the menus. Can sometimes feel a little cheap, like a little bit like Xbox Live Arcade, Xbox 360 era. Like in terms of there's very little like transitional animation, sound effects. It's a little, but like the game itself is a blast to play. It feels good. I can tell this game's gonna be packed with content and packed with things to do, and it just feels like he never went away. So it's really good.
I can't believe it's finally here because
I know it's been like 4 years.
I played it at New York Comic Con 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and that was like already when it's been announced for even like a year or two at that point.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
I've been getting the E3 builds, codes for the E3 demo builds that I've been playing, and I got a chance to play it at PAX East earlier this year. But man, just
I bought
full
it.
Game, so
I bought
good.
it just like right before the show started. So once I'm done here and once I'm done editing the podcast, whatever, I'm gonna be putting it in my PlayStation. I can't wait. Everybody's just singing its high praises. I've never played a Castlevania game.
Whoa, really?
Yep.
This is going to give you a reason to go back and play. Because if you like this, you need to play pretty much all of the Symphony of the Night onward era Castlevanias.
Because here's the thing, Derek.
Good.
We were talking a little bit before the show. That was in the 90s where my mom, her biggest fear was Diablo.
Right, right.
So she would not let me touch that because it was satanic.
Never mind that you're the guy killing the vampires and the werewolves.
She doesn't
and the
care.
demons.
It looks scary.
Right.
She doesn't want it. Yeah.
We've all heard that story.
Oh, God, have we? We've been playing a little game, me and Luke Lore from the Xbox Drive, called World War Z. Holy mother of God. This game should not be anywhere near as fun as it is. I'm going to just sit you down. I'm going to tell you a quick little tale. Do you miss Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
more than anything in the world, it's Left 4 Dead. Third-person shooter, but there's hordes of zombies. And I mean hordes. Like, there's rivers. There's the first episode, because it's in episodes, just like in Left 4 Dead. You're in like God, could we say a skyscraper? It could be a mall, but it's a skyscraper. And all of a sudden, you just see out the window, they're like, a horde's coming, and you see just Main Street fill up with hordes of zombies, and they're running over buses. You're seeing bodies just fly out of buildings just to reach you. And I was just like, holy crap. And then it kind of becomes like a tower defense-esque game where you're trying to stop these horde of zombies from just overflowing you and just... God, it's brutal. It's so much fun.
And they do the wall climb thing too from the movie.
They do the wall climb thing. That's what a lot of missions, it's like, okay, get from objective A to objective B, kill all the zombies you see. Now, once you're at objective B, here's the horde mode that you have to defeat. And then it's like, turn on this power plant. Then it's like the finale where there's a huge horde coming and you have to defeat them. It's hundreds of enemies on screen, and there's no frame rate drops ever. Like, it's pretty solid for a little indie game. I'm super impressed by it. So there you go. That's what we've been playing this week. And with that, Kyle, let's get to the stories, the news, because every time there's a rumor, every time there's a new bit of hot gossip, but we call them here goobers. Kyle,
That's
what's the
right.
first goober for us?
The first goober comes from Dalton Cooper over at Game Rant. Elon Musk, quote, deletes, unquote, Twitter account over Near Automata fan art. The issue was that Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, an overall creepy-looking dude, tweeted the fan illustration to his 27 million followers with just the caption, "To be," and no credit for the artist. When someone told him he should credit the artist, he replied, "No." Musk added that any fool can find out who the artist was in seconds, and that the act of crediting artists is destroying the medium of Twitter. He later deleted those tweets, as well as the original tweet containing the artwork. Musk's refusal to post credit generated a wave of support from Mili Magali, the French artist and game designer who created the piece.
Let me tell you something. First off, great on you for the names. All right? You killed it. I would not have gotten Magali out of that. Congratulations. And you can now finally see what type of news week this is going to be. Yeah. It's pretty dry. You might have thought E3 just happened last week. But I want to make this a point. A little bit of a bad bit rant. This happens a lot on YouTube. Ladies. Oh, God, yes. Buckle in. This happens a lot on YouTube and a lot of podcasts. Please, 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 for the love of God, we need to do better at it here at the Trophy Room. So I'm not trying to stand up on my pedestal. But I saw this story and I was just thinking to myself, we do the same shit every week, right? Like there's an article from somewhere. We'll say, yeah, we got this from Push Square, but we never credit the author writing it. And so what we're going to do starting here on out is not only are we going to tell you where we got the article from, we're going to tell you who we got it from. It's really important that we make sure that we credit the person writing it, doing the hard work, so that we can editorialize it later. That's all I got for you guys.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Thank you. So with that, on to the next story.
Really quick, is he still have the black picture, and is he still on Twitter?
You know what? Here's the thing about
he's not deleting his Twitter. He likes attention that much.
No. Exactly.
But here's the thing. So, here's why. Okay, after I say all that. Baby. No, but here's the thing. After I say all that about Elon, here's why I'm on his side. Okay.
Oh no.
He is one argument away from creating the death bot that's going to kill us all.
Okay.
So this is less a matter of whether or not he's right. It's more a matter of being on the side of the kid who might shoot up the school. Like, you just want to not be one of the people.
Listen, I'm on the side of Skynet on this. You know, he's just like, I think he's a robot. He says, like, I sleep for an hour. And I'm like, well, that's not how normal people function.
Yeah, that's probably why his fucking brain has holes in it like Swiss cheese. that he thinks that crediting the artists of fan art is what's destroying Twitter and not, Nazis running fucking rampant.
Yeah, it's not Alex
You gotta
Jones.
get more than an hour of sleep a night, bud, because that's fucking your brain up. That's it right there. That's the problem you got. That and the drugs, the hard drugs. Like, those two things are not a good combination for
God damn,
ability,
Derek.
my boy.
You know what, man? This is the best choice of having you on. Jesus. Amazing. Let's get to the next scooper.
The next scooper was written by Stephen Tailby from Push Square. Dreams Early Access now has over 100,000 users on PS4. It's been pointed out on Reddit that there are now at least 100,000 people playing Dreams, because everyone starts the game following one creator, Dreams Queen, one of Media Molecule's official accounts. This user at the time of writing has 100,351 followers, which translates roughly to the number of creators enjoying the title. The figure isn't perfect, as you can quite easily unfollow the account if you wish, but that means the number will only be bigger than the one displayed on Dream Queen's profile page.
So, Dreams came out early access in April, has over 100,000 people on it. Derek, I got a question for you. Is this a good pace for the game? Because it's been in development for years. Should it be higher, or do you think it's at a good pace right now?
This is where it gets tricky, because I think we like to think it's very easy for us to want to think in terms of how many X million copies were sold, which even that is not always the best indication of a game's success, because we've seen Ubisoft, for example, is really good at taking games with like service type games with really bad launches and turning them around into long-term, very financially successful games that also make the user base very happy. So that's where it gets tricky. I think Dreams, we know it's been in development for a very long time. Media Molecule, it's also not a very big team. Like they're not a massive AAA development kind of studio. So it's not going to cost a year's worth of development time on something like Dreams may not cost a fraction what a year's worth of development time on The Last of Us 2 cost.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that. You got to think about the fact that this is a game that is kind of niche in its concept. Like, this is not going to appeal to the same mass audience that something like The Last of Us 2 would. And Sony presumably knows that. Sony, when they greenlit the project, would have known, to budget it a little lower and expect fewer people buying in. You also got to think it's early access. There's a lot of people out there who don't fucks with early access. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm that type of guy, man. Like, yeah,
I finally broke down on early access for the first time ever about a month ago for Risk of Rain 2. It's the only time I've done that. There's just a lot of people like me who don't do early access games, and to them, they're waiting for Dreams to come out, and wait for a disc to be on the shelf at their local Best Buy or Target or something. So but with that said, 100,000 that's a healthy community. I've seen some really impressive stuff getting made, and to me, I think that's what matters. Is there a healthy enough community to keep generating content? Because the user generated content is what's going to keep Dreams alive.
Yeah.
And staying at about 100,000 is a good sign for this early in an early access title's life. I feel like.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you see? You seem like you're about to say something. Say it.
Oh yeah. Well, I just say it. I think those numbers are great for Dreams. Like Derek mentioned, it is early access. People don't usually go for that. And on the other side of that is how many people know Dreams is out in some form or fashion. Like we do, because we know the news. We do podcasts. We're in the thick of it. But how many mom or dads or teens who go to GameStop or Best Buy to buy games know Dreams is out?
Not exactly getting marketed.
Yeah, it's exactly. It hasn't even been marketed for YouTube trailers or commercials on TV or billboards. Like it hasn't really been doing that. So I think for over 100,000 people with early access where it hasn't been widely put out there, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Destiny just pulled in 1 million concurrent players, and they're just touting that as a huge success for the company. And when you think of Destiny, you kind of think in your head oh, it's a huge AAA game. They're my way of thinking is, oh, there must always be 1 million people because it's Destiny. They always market it like crazy. It's everywhere. It's in the Google Stadia Connect. It's genuinely in most places. And so seeing Dreams, which is just a month or 2 months after its very early access launch, over 100,000 people, awesome. And also seeing it on Twitch on the front page, I saw it a few times last week at around 7,000 people watching. I think it was one of the numbers I saw. It's it's not breaking down the barriers of Twitch or anything like Apex Legends did at its launch, but it's doing really well for itself. So I'm super happy for this. Derek, are you going to jump in on Dreams? Is this something that you're interested in? I always want to gauge that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we'll see what it looks like when we hit final version, right?
Yeah.
Or whenever they want to call it their 1.0, which I realize is an increasingly arbitrary distinction to make with these early access titles, especially given that so many games get released as live service games where they're basically launching where 1.0 is incomplete anyway.
They're launching at 0.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really good at generating content. You give me a stage builder or something like that, I'm usually not very, very creative at coming up what to do with those kind of in-game tools. I liked, let me put it this way, Little Big Planet, I liked seeing what other people made. I didn't upload anything, and certainly anything I did was not a banger. So, I might, but admittedly, my backlog is long, and there's a lot of games coming over the next couple of months, and especially March of next year is going to be the apocalypse.
Dude, don't even. I'm getting a panic attack just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm right on the verge of getting it. I just need more of that wampum because like I'm looking at September is going to be a huge month for me. October, my God, I can't. November is a horror show, and then it's like I got to recoup for March, which is like Final Fantasy, Watch Dogs, Animal Crossing, maybe. Or else Bobby's gonna cry. Cyberpunk, Jesus, it's just like.
I'm a big Monster Hunter fan, so like Iceborne, when that hits, is going to be another God knows how many hours. I mean, this is a brutal couple months coming up ahead.
Oh my God!
So I just don't know. Dreams is cool, but for me on an individual level, maybe doesn't appeal strongly enough that it pushes ahead of the backlog.
I was about to say, all right, enough of this talk because I'm getting a panic attack. Kyle, on to the next Goober, sir.
The next Goober comes from Anthony Taormina over at Game Rant. PS5 is definitely more powerful than Xbox Project Scarlett, according to DevKit users. Earlier this week, a rumor surfaced that suggested the upcoming PlayStation 5 was more powerful than Microsoft's recently unveiled next-gen Xbox console, codenamed Project Scarlett. It was enough to generate a lot of buzz around E3, even if the power of a console rarely correlates to its success. Now, an additional source claims that they have heard similar rumblings about the power of the PS5 compared to the next Xbox. According to former IGN editor Colin Moriarty, the PS5 is definitely more powerful than Project Scarlett. Moriarty made the claim on his podcast, Sacred Symbols, while talking about the prior rumor from Game Informer's Andrew Reiner. But unlike Reiner, Moriarty elaborated a little further by saying that this information comes from developers working with both consoles' dev kits. Apparently, when working with both, the developers found the PS5 to be more powerful.
This kind of seems like, I mean, we kind of touched on it last week with E3 when we were talking about the power of the consoles. Andrew Reiner, who is a fantastic freaking journalist, kind of just like he just put it on Twitter like PS5 is more powerful than the Xbox, and then just like let Twitter go haywire on it.
Drop the match, let it burn.
Like, exactly. And
then
like
a sip of a drink by the pool and just relax.
He knew it was just like, all right, let me light this cigarette and let me toss it into this kerosene. I saw like a lot of people. It's not just like Colin jumping on the bandwagon of like, I've heard things. I was like listening to a podcast because I wanted to torture myself where like people were like, these guys were sitting down. They're like, I heard things about the next Xbox and actually it's more powerful. Are we already starting to get into the whose is bigger like argument already?
Oh no, that was going to happen almost immediately. Yeah. Super happy that Colin decided to crawl out of his pile of radioactive sludge to say that the developers had worked with both. When they said the PS5 was more powerful. I otherwise would have had to assume that developers only used one and were just making the assumption. So great elaboration there, buddy.
Amen.
So here's my thing about the power conversation. Yeah. I'm inclined to trust Reiner with what he has to say. I think we don't really know how big the gap in power is between the two.
Yeah.
I think that's important to note. So that's my A. My B is that both of these systems are going to be a pretty significant jump, it sounds like, over what we've got now in terms of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Yeah. So we're all winning out in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I think C, like if you're a PlayStation fan, if you've got a PlayStation 4, let me expand more broadly to just say, if you have a PlayStation 4 and you were curious about the PlayStation 5, backwards compatibility and performance improvements to PS4 games was a way bigger bombshell for me. Because that means that if you own, like I have a PlayStation 4, I love my PlayStation 4. When the PlayStation 5 comes out, I'm going to be able to just trade my PS4 in for my 5, keep all my games, re-sign into my profile and re-download all my cloud saves, put it in the same spot on the entertainment center and be done with it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I think is so important that even if the Xbox One Orange, whatever the fuck they want to call it, because it's going to be, we've gone through letters, numbers, colors is obviously next.
Yeah. I mean, Scarlett,
I'm expecting like a subtitle, just Xbox The Return. Or something.
Xbox Revengeance. But,
in a theater near you.
Even if that ends up, whether that ends up being more powerful, like if I'm a PlayStation fan,
Yeah.
and I've been invested in the PlayStation platform for a long time, that's not going to be enough to make me want to jump ship, because I'm going to get to keep my whole ecosystem moved forward to the PlayStation 5 anyway. So like,
Yeah.
maybe you got a couple more them gigafloops, but like, you got a few more them gigafloops, but
Well,
it
that's
don't
it.
matter,
It
because I
don't
can keep
matter
my
at all.
Monster Hunter. I can keep my Monster Hunter World, and I keep my save, and I keep playing. Like I never got PS4 Pro, so now I'm gonna leave the Kentucky behind. But like, I never got a PS4 Pro, so when I
Yeah.
pick up a PS5,
Oh
there's
my
a lot of
God.
people like me who did not.
You're
We're
going
gonna
to
get to
see
skip
that
straight
jump.
to having a PS4 Pro and a PS5
Yep.
in one.
Yeah.
So
That's nuts.
So
That's nuts. Kyle, I'll take this to you, man. I want does power necessarily even matter? To me, it absolutely doesn't. I want to hear what you have to say. Sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like,
Yeah.
as long as I get to play these amazing PlayStation experiences, that's what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I think that's at the end of the day. I'm gonna put this out there.
Say
The
it.
real gamers, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Is about the experiences you play. Who cares if it's more powerful? Leave that for the PC clan, and just like enjoy the games you want to play. And like when you asked the question before, like, is this the start of the arguing? Like, it started during the Xbox conference.
Yeah.
They were doing the Scarlett thing. Like, oh, we already heard about that in the PS5
Yeah.
Wired article.
Yeah.
And we
You
just
saw
kinda
me
matched
taking
up the-
shots.
Exactly.
Like they're walking in and they're just like no loads
Yeah.
times, no this that. I'm like, this is a PlayStation 5.
I
Are we
read
at
that
the
a
right
couple weeks ago.
conference? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it
was
just-
it was
but
weird. But
End
like
of the day, power
Sorry.
is
cutting you
going
off.
to be bottom of my list of what I want from a new console. I want to be able to play the same games. I want to be able to just the little quality of life improvements, like the faster load times. That's what's getting me excited. On addition of playing all these games that I already own.
I think when it comes to this next generation, I think Derek, you touched on it, and Kyle, you touched on it too. Is it's about retaining the ecosystem. It's about, hey, remember all the things that makes us great. Well, you could still play Spider-Man, you could still play God of War, you could still play Uncharted, Last of Us, whatever have you. Now you could play them a little better. Right? And you could keep your games. You don't have to trade all of them in to go afford this bigger, better box. Everything's just going to come and carry on with you. And I think that is such a stronger argument than saying, hey, our thing is more powerful than the Xbox, whatever, than Xbox, right? To me, that's a stronger argument, because I would much, there's no chance I'm going to switch to a Scarlett, right? Let's all be Benjamin Franklin about it. There's just no way, because I love the experiences I get from PlayStation. So I'm just going to stay here. And I think when we look at, like, does power mean success? I don't think it does. I mean, we saw with the Xbox One X, sure, Xbox rebounded a bit, but it wasn't traumatic. And yeah, like we saw with the PlayStation 3, much powerful console, but again, the price tag killed it. And when you look at the Nintendo Switch, if power means anything, that thing should be flopping, and it's doing really, really well so far. So I don't think, I think we're going to be, as this year goes on, we're going to be stuck in the gigaflops, the teraflops, and we're not really going to even know what this means. Like, again, I was watching an Xbox show because I want to expand my mind, and like they were in full fanboy mode of like, well, Xbox technically said they're going to have ray tracing. Sony never said actually they were going to. They just said ray tracing audio. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, both consoles said they're going to have ray tracing. They're going to have ray tracing,
that's
right?
just wrong.
Yeah, that's just wrong. And then they're like, well, I heard from the grapevine, and I want to get your thoughts on this. They're like, Xbox is actually not focused on the ray tracing so much. They're going to focus on the physics. That's what they're going to really nail down. So my question to you, I'm going to start with Kyle, is does all these people, like, let's just say, like Andrew Reiner threw that out there, right? Colin Moore already added fire to the flame. And now we're going to get all these little people that want to get that, that SEO tag. Do you think these rumors hurt Xbox or PlayStation? Like, if these rumors end up not being true, if the PlayStation isn't as powerful as the Xbox One, does that somehow hurt the brand?
I wouldn't say hurt either. I think if anything, it builds some more excitement over PlayStation, especially since they skipped E3.
Yeah.
Like hearing whatever Xbox talked about Scarlett on stage, hearing that the PS5, whatever the end thing is, might be powerful than what we already know of the PS5 and the Scarlett. Like, I think that leans more in favor of the unknown that is PlayStation and Sony right now.
Ooh, all right. What about you, Derek? Do you think these rumors are harmful?
I don't think the rumors are harmful. I mean, let's be real. All of the speculation and rumor mongering and the 100-page tech threads on, like it would have still been NeoGAF at the time, right? Reset Era wasn't until post. I have to work my timeline out on some of that stuff. But like none of that ended up meaning anything when PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launched. What mattered is what they provided and how they revealed it and what they pushed with their initial push before it was out on shelves. And then there was some other stuff where like Xbox had like broadly more reliability issues, not like nearly as bad as 360 era, but like that hurt them on top of some already negative press. Right. This isn't going to really matter. And I think if you want to get involved in the rumor mongering, that can be fun, but people need to remember not to take it too seriously because most of these people are full of shit. Yeah. Most of these people have no idea what they're talking about. No. They're parroting buzzwords that they've heard places. Yeah. And then B, ultimately know when to back off from it because it's going to be a very toxic and very mentally straining constant back and forth that like we don't really need to be involved in. So like if you want to dip in, kind of get a temperature check, see some stuff, that's cool. But like remember that it's not gonna matter and this is not meaningful and not to get emotionally invested in this stage of the pre-release. If anything, what I would rather do is flip it around and say the fact that both Xbox and PlayStation are talking about solid state based memory. They're both using Zen 2 based processors. They're both talking about using, having ray tracing cores in their custom graphics processors. That means that technology, like both fans of both should be excited because that means that neither one is out on a limb. I think when you get experimental, you have to worry about that. Yeah. When Sony went into the cell microprocessor and nobody else in the industry was trying to touch on that, like that was a sign that something maybe could have been a little dangerous. And it did turn out to be a very poor choice on Sony's part to back the cell. Meanwhile, when Nintendo repeatedly doubles down in weird technology nobody else is using, and it's always the most stressful thing because you have no idea how it's going to actually work out in the end. Yeah. So seeing Xbox and PlayStation both be headed basically in the same direction with the same technology, like that's good. That means stuff like ray tracing will at least on some light level probably be standard. Exactly. Better load times will be standard. That's Derek, good. I love you should so know. You should know that what both companies are talking about is likely to come to pass because two competitors are going in the same direction.
Exactly. I think you hit it right on the head right there. Because like, you take a look at what both these consoles are, and they sound so much alike, which means that when we're going to get let's just say, Cyberpunk, just for the sake of it's the first thing off the top of my head, that gets ported over to the PlayStation 5. That means that port job is going to be so much better on the Xbox and Xbox. It's going to be practically the same. You're not going to have these like diminishing returns of like, the thing I hate the most, and I know our good friend Sean Capri hates it, was like in the beginning of this generation, you had the look at how good this game looks on the PlayStation 4 in 1080p, and how much this game looks on the Xbox and it's 900p, and you have people arguing about 100 resolution. So you know what I mean?
And for most people, that wasn't meaningfully different unless you were looking for a thing to pick a fight over. Yeah. Like, is one better? Yes, but like.
Does it really
these games were good or bad one way or another,
Exactly. And so when we get down to like, the hardware looks the same, well, that's great. It's going to be an easier job on developers to develop these games. It really does not matter the power. And I think even when we get down to like, they're similar architectures. Like they're like what you just talked about. Like they're
both Zen 2 based from AMD, so they're not even like both x86 based processors. These are both literally from the same family of they're built off the same blueprint even.
Yeah.
So they're going to be so similar.
Yeah. And so like hearing this news, Phil Spencer was on a Giant Bomb discussion. It was fantastic. You need to listen to it if you haven't. And he's just like, yeah, guys, we heard the rumors. He's like, we don't know what they got. We're just saying we're trying to build the best thing we got. It's cool. Like, I know as much as you do. And it is what it is. Like, I think they're both pretty much aware of what one has over the other and what they're doing different. I think we're going to see just minute differences of one company going in one direction and the other company going in the different direction. Maybe Sony's making a beefier console to focus more on like VR. Maybe Microsoft is focusing on the cloud, and that's where they're kind of doing the crossroads. And either way, those small differences are going to mean so much, in terms of the audiences that they capture. It's awesome. It's a way better conversation than of, well, I heard from this guy in a back alley somewhere behind an E3 stage that this, that, and the other thing, So with that, let's see. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on when it comes to the power of PlayStation?
No, like when I hear the talk about power, it's, for me as a gamer, I don't have a 4K TV, so it's the same thing. Like, oh, look at the 4K graphics. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So like that's how I view power.
You will get higher frame rates probably, and that's nice because I think like if you're not used to playing games in 60 frames per second, I mean it's definitely not. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my god, you can't go back from it. But like it's really nice. It's really nice to be able to play.
Real talk, Derek. I'm one of those assholes.
No doubt about it. But
I'm one of those assholes.
I'm not jonesing to go out to get a 4K TV or anything.
So it's super cool. That's why I'm very happy when the PS4 came out that you saw developers kind of give people options for performance versus like quality. And I'd like to believe that the same that will continue.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see that. I was just like, hey, listen, this could do 8K, but come on, you don't have an 8K. You want to do all the frames instead? Sure. Because like I'm that type of guy where I switched from playing Destiny on PlayStation to the PC, and I made a mistake. It was a life mistake, and I regret it every day. No, I don't, because it was 60 frames per second, and it was just like, oh, this is way smoother. And then playing Forsaken on my PlayStation 4, I was just like, ooh, okay, this takes a little getting used to. But like, yeah, like I'm right there up your alley of just like, dude, I'd rather the game be as smooth as possible than how many puddles I see on the ground. That I care about.
Puddlegate. Don't bring back Puddlegate.
I will also say, one of the things that I think is exciting, talking less about power strictly and more about like features, the fact that both PlayStation and Microsoft are focusing on ray tracing as something that's physically embedded into their graphics processors. That is a really good sign that ray tracing is going to become standardized, within this next generation. And that's really good for PC players as well. Because if you do play on PC, right now, it's like some graphics cards can support it with their native ray tracing cores. Some can't. Some games support it, only a couple. Not many do. And to make that a little bit more standardized across the board, that's good for everybody, basically. And it means that new hardware will probably continue to focus on, and if you haven't seen tech demos of what ray tracing can do to existing games, I mean, it made Quake 2 look 10 years fresher. So I can't imagine what something like a Spider-Man, I loved that PS4 Spider-Man game, and if a successor had ray tracing baked in, I can't even fathom how beautiful that game would look,
dude. Because
with no graphical improvements beyond that.
Yeah, because the sunsets in that game, those horizons are just like, oh my god, injected into my veins. I need this ASAP. With that, let's get to the next goober. Kyle, what do you got for me, buddy?
Sure. This goober comes from Colin Stevens over at IGN. Mortal Kombat 11 and Days Gone are the best-selling games of May 2019. Mortal Kombat and Days Gone are the best-selling games of May 2019 in the United States. Both titles are also the best-selling games of April 2019. Mortal Kombat was not only May and April's best-selling game, but it's now the best-selling game of 2019 year-to-date, dethroning the long-running leader Kingdom Hearts 3. The NPD group notes that the second month sales of Mortal Kombat 11 are nearly double that of any other game in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Days Gone kept its spot as the second best-selling game of the month and is now the 8th best-selling game of 2019 year to date. Here are the top 5 games in May. 1. Mortal Kombat 11. 2. Days Gone. 3. Total War 3 Kingdoms. 4. Rage 2. And number 5, as always, Grand Theft Auto 5. Insane.
Dude, how that game... You gotta have GTA 5 at this point. Who doesn't have it? I don't understand.
Somebody like sacrificed a goat like to an ancient pagan.
Yeah.
Like
at this point, my grandparents who have been gone
know.
a long time probably have a copy in their casket right now.
Yeah.
At this point, like I
get it.
Like we're gonna have we have Matt Piscatella from the NPD group on pretty regularly on SDGC. He's gonna be on tomorrow to talk about NPD stuff. But like Grand Theft Auto 5 being on there every single month is just a running joke at this point. Like we can't stop it.
And it's not like it's low. It's usually in the middle of the top 10. And
yeah.
Maybe...
That it's in the top 10 at all is insane. Yeah. I mean, this game is too much old. This game came out on previous generation consoles.
God.
This is not even a PS4 game. This is a PS3 game.
Wow. Yeah.
It goes to show you also, first off, big shout out to Total War. Holy crap.
Yo, yeah, Total War 3 Kingdoms is...
Dude.
It's exciting to see that did so well. Now, was that PC only?
PC
I want to say
PC only, and it's a beefy RTS. I remember trying to play that as a kid, and I hard noped out of it. And again, I was a big RTS kid back in the day, and like me noping out of an RTS is insane. So like,
I think it's a good combination of being. I mean, Total War is a really big franchise, but it's been kind of having a hard time finding itself for a while. And the last couple entries, my best friend is a huge Total War nerd. And she has, from what I understand, the last several entries have not been really up to expectations. So this just being the best Total War game in a very long time, plus that Chinese Warring States period, you know, the whole Dynasty Warriors, Romance of the Three Kingdoms kind of setting is very, very exciting to a lot of people, and it's very fresh. And I didn't realize that Total War had not done that already. So
Jesus.
You know, it feels like such a natural fit.
Yeah, I thought they always stuck to like European theaters. But the other thing that's also interesting to add, Rage 2, 4th. Yeah. Like, all right.
I think the marketing shows off like it's a fun game.
Yeah.
And it is a fun game.
I thought it would be like I honestly thought it'd be number 1 because it started off like I think it came out the 6th or the 7th. So seeing there on 4th, okay. Let's hope we see it again in June's MPDs. Yeah. But overall, Days Gone, holy crap!
Yeah,
hanging in there in second place, the 8th best-selling game. It really does go to show the reviews, man, did not matter for this game.
Yeah, I was a doubter. I was a doubter for a long time. I didn't think the game was ever going to be bad. But like, it was not really clicking, and it felt a lot better when I played it at PAX East. You know, which you're talking about almost final version of the game at that point. But like, you know, I still think questioned whether or not it would really catch on, and you know, I'm chewing my mouth, right? Because it turns out that people were a big fan. So yeah,
don't
it's
eat
really
your shoe, Derek.
No, I'm not going to eat my shoe. I just put it near my face. But and then Mortal Kombat 11, number 1. I mean, my God,
dude,
Mortal Kombat consistently kills, and but it's very exciting. I love that. I love how NetherRealm has treated this franchise ever since they got to like pseudo reboot it back on the Xbox 360 and PS3. It's very good to see it consistently do very well. You know, I think a lot of as a big fighting game nerd, I think there's a lot of the other big fighting game companies could learn from NetherRealm's approach in terms of the content they offer.
I haven't touched MK11, but I hear nothing but solid things about it.
It's on my list of eventually buy. Same thing with, I still need to get Injustice 2 because I need to play that story.
Dude, I'm so bad at fighters, it's ridiculous. Kyle, let's get to the next goober, sir.
Oh, we're in the Flash news section, Joe.
Oh my gosh.
These are just well, this first one is like a very small size story. This goober comes from Michael McWhorter from Polygon. Monster Hunter World Iceborne Beta coming to PS4. Capcom is giving PS4 owners a preview of the Iceborne expansion for Monster Hunter World in a 2-part beta test, the first of which kicks off this weekend on June 21st. The first Monster Hunter World Iceborne beta will be exclusive to PlayStation Plus subscribers and will run from Friday, June 21st at 3 a.m. through Monday, June 24th at 3 a.m. Pacific Time. The second beta will be open to all PS4 owners and run from Friday, June 28th at 3 a.m. Pacific through Monday, July 1st at 3 a.m. Pacific. Players do not need to own a copy of Monster Hunter World to take part.
So, Derek, this one's for you, man.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter. Are you taking part?
Man. I don't know, because here's the thing. If I do this, it's really just going to be a tease. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I'm getting it. I'm already sold. You don't need to sell me anymore. And I think that's where most Monster Hunter fans are at this point.
Yeah.
Like, World was the best-selling game in Capcom history, correct?
Yep.
I believe so,
Not just best in the franchise, best in Capcom's history. Like, you bought this game and you played it, and you probably enjoyed it, given
Even I played
feedback.
it, and I'm not a Monster Hunter guy, and I really enjoyed it.
And it has a healthy, ongoing like player base. So I think the Iceborne beta maybe is there to try and I don't know if it's fireworks outside my house. I apologize.
How dare you, fireworks.
I know. But I think it's more to grab people who somehow managed to not get into Monster Hunter before, even with World, or for people who maybe played through World, played through some of it, most of it, maybe all of the story, but then just dropped it off.
I got a question. Like, Kyle, you said you never played it.
Yeah.
Did you play World or no?
No, nothing.
Okay, well, I'm shocked.
Well, this beta is for you, my friend.
This beta is for you, then. Are you going to hop on this?
I might. I'm not going to commit here,
You gotta commit. You gotta commit.
I do appreciate the design of Monster Hunter, just in general. Just seeing how crazy big monsters they make is incredible.
Monster Hunter is one of those things. Even if you don't play it, you can like go to a wiki. Cool shit, like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, awesome. I'm gonna take part because I played Dauntless. I really enjoyed it, and so I'm gonna, I kind of, though, as much as I like Dauntless, I kind of didn't miss the little details of Monster Hunter World. So I'm gonna definitely jump in this. I want to give it a shot. With that,
everybody is a mere. I was just gonna say everybody else is a mere imitator of Monster Hunter. They're first in class.
You heard it here first, folks. Kyle, the next goober, sir.
This comes from Matt Purslow over at IGN. Final Fantasy VII Remake still has the cross-dressing sequence. Final Fantasy VII Remake will still feature the original game's infamous cross-dressing sequence, according to an interview with Square Enix conducted with Famitsu. The news comes as a slight surprise as the same Famitsu feature via Eurogamer reveals that
it's
Square
Eurogamer now. You gotta keep the gangster, dude.
My mouth is not moving as fast as my voice right now. Reveals that Square Enix has an ethics department which instructed the developers of Final Fantasy VII Remake to restrict Tifa's chest for her new look to ensure she didn't look unnatural during action sequences. This led to her new design featuring a more athletic build and fitted clothing, rather than the more pin-up girl look she sported in the original game. With considerations like these being made, it's interesting that the cross-dressing sequence, considered by some to be either outdated or insensitive, has not been cut. The feature does note that the sequence is more modern. However, so don't expect a completely identical recreation. In the original 1997 game, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith plan to infiltrate a Playboy's mansion in order to extract some information on the evil Shinra company. In order to get Cloud inside the mansion, Aerith convinces him to dress as a woman so that all three of them stand a chance of being picked as the seedy Don Corneo's companion for the evening.
It's portrayed as
comedic, but in the light of 2019, it's difficult to ignore the less sensitive undertones of this area of the game.
Okay, so Derek, I'm gonna fill you in on something. Never played Final Fantasy VII.
Oh man,
I've heard of this. I didn't know the minutiae of you.
I just recently played this on the Switch version.
Cloud and Drag.
So okay, first and foremost, I want to hit some points here. Tifa, I know she was a large-chested broad, and yeah, as one of my best friends, she had like reduction, so I can only imagine seeing her in Final Fantasy VII Tifa. Man, she must have been in back pain all the time.
Actually, original Final Fantasy VII, she doesn't look that bad.
Yeah?
It's funny because it's a lot of the stuff between the original FF7 and the release that kind of exaggerated that.
Okay.
And it's really, to me, it looks more like you're bringing her back down, kind of to where, I mean, let's be real. Tifa's still very chesty in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, anybody who's seen a real woman in their workplace, on the street, anywhere in life, like, y'all know what women look like and how women are actually proportioned. Tifa's still very chesty. She just doesn't have giant inflated goofy anime beach balls stapled to her chest. Like, I think some of y'all had your brains melted, you know, and you don't remember how women are actually shaped.
I gotta say this though, Square Enix has an ethics department.
I love it. Good.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, it's good, but I'm just like, who's the ethics
hilarious.
department? Because like, I'm just thinking like it's our moms, and you know, they're just like, oh no, that woman, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
She needs layers. She's cold.
Yeah.
What's
She wouldn't
doing
do this
there?
without a sports bra. Come on.
Come on. She's got no. Her gal's got no support.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I look at Tifa's design and like, she looks good. You know, like she looks better than what she originally looked like. I saw some people still upset at the design. I think she looks fine. She looks cute.
Great. I think it's the best she's ever looked.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think Cloud looks cute. They all look cute, man. When you talk about anime people to me, things get real weird in my head.
Yeah.
With
also, like, I gotta be real, Cloud. So when they did the reveal at E3 of the gameplay segment, we saw this is like the version of the game we're gonna be buying in March. Like, it's actually basically there. I'm looking at Cloud, and I'm just sitting here like, we could put you in drag. Like, this could work. Like,
I had the same thoughts.
Like, you got some good femme twink energy going on. Like, he's got some muscle, but he's not like he's a real slim guy. Like, he's got some real bottom energy going on. He is not like very hunky. So it's not going to be difficult to put him in some drag and be like convincingly femmy.
So my question here, guys, is this situation, because we're laughing at it because it is ridiculous, right? Does this scene though, should it be in the game in terms of like, is it out of date, or do we have to, you know, as my racist uncle in Thanksgiving would say, gotta just loosen up, pal? Like, is this like a fine scene, or is this something that does cross a line?
I feel like I can kind of maybe blaze the trail here a little bit as the actual like queer guy on the show right now. I don't think it's a problem. I think the devil's in the details, but there's nothing inherently insensitive about cross-dressing or drag. It is not. There's some lines. It's been so long since I played. I'm sure there are some individual lines of dialogue that could be seen as homophobic, but they're rewriting dialogue anyway and reapproaching a lot of this stuff. So it's really easy for them to do. Like, I challenge you, if you have an open and progressive mindset, sit and think about this scenario of, you have the Playboy, you know, sleazebag who's not presented as a good guy at all. He's the villain of this scenario. Yeah. And you got to cross-dress because you have to be the prettiest girl that he picks so that he brings you in past security to the mansion. Like, what is actually problematic about that? There's really nothing on a broad level that is phobic of LGBT people in any regard. It's not a commentary on transness. It's not a commentary on homosexuality. It's cross-dressing. Yeah. You know, which, like, you know, and in that case, I think it's the details. I think that we need to see how they pull it off, and if they make, you know, a bunch of homophobic jokes or something, you know, then it might be a little more uncomfortable. But we just got to see.
Yeah, for me, I don't have a problem. I think, it is in the details. I also think a lot. I think it's just like nowadays, a lot of people are like, and it is on both sides. Like, everybody's uptight and they don't know everybody's walking like on a razor thin wire, you know. And for me, I look at this scene and I'm like, yeah, as long as they're just like, like as long as they don't say anything awful, go for it. I don't care. And also, I know that this is a Japanese game. I know like Breath of the Wild, Link did it, and he looked cute, you know. And it was fine. I didn't think of like, oh man, this is awful. They didn't make any like horrible jokes doing it. It was just like, yeah, the situation's funny because you got this big tough guy and he's gonna pick you because you look like the prettiest girl.
Yeah,
that's fucking great.
I think it's a situation. If I may be so bold as to say, and this is not accusatory. If anything, I'm grateful for it. I think it's a situation of mostly straight cisgendered people. Maybe seeing that this is something that gets kind of crossing the boundaries and being a little bit like non-standard in its portrayal of gender and sexuality, and going, okay, a lot of this stuff has been sensitive. Do we need, like, is this going to be a problem? Yeah. Like asking in like genuinely, like we're not sure yet. And actually, in a way, I appreciate that. I've seen people turn around and be like, oh, you're too overly sensitive. And it's like, no, actually, I'd rather people ask the question in good faith because they want to know. But I don't think it'll be a problem. I think unless they do but if they do something that will fuck it up, then it will be fucked up in the details. We'll have a Catherine situation, right? Where like it's going to be about the little lines of dialogue. It won't be the broad scenario.
Yeah. So. Kyle, what do you think? Because I know you both played it, so go for it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine to have it in. I will say though, during the E3 reveal, the first thing I think I said on the watch along was like, are they gonna include this scene? Because it's such a very memorable moment, like in the beginning games of Final Fantasy VII, because it kind of takes you off guard. Like you really.
It's also just weird. It's almost so out of place.
Like, and yeah, exactly. You go from you trying to find Tifa, and then like you have to cross dress to get into this sleazeball's room. Yeah. And the thing that I want to see how they pull off is all the different things to make it so he does pick you. Like, Joe, you don't know, like, you have to go do, like, these little mini side, like, little collectible things.
I thought you were going to say you got to do a little dance.
No. Like, you have to find the dressmaker's father who's drunk at a bar and make him agree to make you a dress. You need to get digestive and give the woman that's in the bathroom who's puking her guts out medicine in order to give you sexy cologne. You have to beat, I think... another cross-dressing male in the gym in a squatting contest.
Yeah, the big bro.
To get a blonde wig. If you don't get the blonde wig, you'll get a brown wig, and he won't pick you. Like it's very. I want to see how they deal with that.
There's there's definitely some homophobic elements in the gym segment, and a lot of the honeybee, like so they're gonna have to reapproach some of those elements.
Yeah, and I mean by the way they address Tifa. I'm not too worried that they're going to also address how those things are handled as well.
I trust it. Final Fantasy is usually pretty good about trying to be better as time goes on.
Yeah.
So
now, and I mean, we're going to make this podcast really, really, really long. So I want to just like a Twitter post, if anything, because there's even some hoopla right now going around about Cyberpunk 2077 and some transphobic and some maybe racial messages. Derek, I want to pick your brain for a second. Do you know what's happening there? Or
yeah. It's a shitstorm. It would take forever. There's some elements in 2077 that are uncomfortably parallel to some classically racist elements. But like the original creator of the original Cyberpunk board game, who is black, is also very, very supportive of what's going on with the game. But he's also been supportive in a very like, y'all some snowflakes too mad about everything kind of way. So like, my angry old man voice, because he is also much older. So like nobody's really winning in that discussion. And then there's a poster of a trans woman that's very sexualized and very focused on her genitals. And
she's a very like attractive like femme figure, and then like she has a huge
just bulge
that would make women
massive
gasp and
on
men
backward
cry.
For some reason. But like trans women are so used to being either an object of total scorn or a fetish symbol, like where they can't just be like they can't just be them. They have to be exotic in that way that like Asian women, for example, are often like exoticized and fetishized to the point where they're disgusted by it. Yeah. So it was kind of a question of trans women. It's like, well, this is a big switch in the other direction of maybe this is a little chaser-y. Like, you know, you call them chasers when you have like straight guys who are obsessively and excessively interested in trans women because, you know, they might still have their birth genitals and that gets them really excited. It's their way to experiment with sexuality while still getting to be straight. And like trans women don't exist for that, you know, like they're people. So that's an issue they've got to deal with. Nobody's winning that conversation. It's just a mess. And
it is because like the way I see it, it was just like, you know, like when we're talking about cyberpunk, we're talking about like we're talking about something we really don't know yet, and we're seeing like literally a frame and like something like I'm taking for like, you know, I'm taking your word for it in some aspects because I don't know what the game actually looks like. I'm just taking what you said step by step that was happening. So like when I see the creator just go like, yeah, listen, I'm a black dude. This doesn't bother me one bit. That gives me a level of security. But just because it's like, just because you're a person of color doesn't mean you don't see the bigger picture. You know,
right. I think CD Projekt Red is actually really trying. Is what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds
I don't
like
think. I think if they stumble, and there probably will be little stumbles, but if and where they stumble, I think it will be not out of malice. But they will still be stumbles. And of course, the creator being a person of color doesn't mean that he can't. I mean, Candace Owens exists, right? Like, you know, you can have queer people who are just flagrantly wrong about queer issues.
What up, Milo?
You know, so exactly. So you know, that's where for me it's kind of like once the creator stepped in, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna just back up.
I'm gonna peace out.
You know,
I'm gonna peace out. Yeah. To me, I'm just like I need to see more, but I understand both sides. And I think both sides have valid arguments until we see the larger picture. What a great little conversation. This is great. This is why having you on, goddamn, such a fucking treat. With that,
awkward robot.
With that said, Kyle, Derek, hang on to something.
Got it.
Because we're preparing the drop. Each and every week, yes, I'm still carrying on with the voice. PlayStation drops the latest and greatest games. But the problem is, the list is too long for us to say each game we're hyped for. So each and one of us have picked one game that interests us. So with that, Kyle, what is your pick from the drop?
Vacation Simulator.
Why Vacation Simulator?
Why? Well, I'm going to tell you the game is first.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Welcome to Vacation Simulator, a rough approximation of vacation, inspired by real human, not jobbing. Brought to you by the same robots behind Job Simulator. Reallocate your bandwidth and get ready to splash, s'more, snowball, and selfie your way to optimal relaxation. Why I'm picking this one is because Job Simulator is one of the first VR experiences I had. And I just had an absolute blast with it. It's not an intense game. Yeah. You're just living the life and doing what these robots view humans do. And so this is just, you know, how robots view relaxing robots view relaxing humans. Like, it's just it's a dumb fun time.
Yeah.
This is a game I do play with my nieces because they love seeing me do these adorable things in a video game, and they're like, awesome. Why are you doing this, Uncle Kyle? Why?
Why? That's awesome. How much is it? Do you know? Did it say the price?
No, I can look it up while we go ahead.
My pick is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So yeah, play as Miriam, an orphan scarred by the. Oh no, you know what it is? I'm not next to the screen, and now I need glasses. Pretty much, we talked about this earlier. I can't read right now. Yeah, Castlevania game, but you're playing as Miriam. That's dope. My mom's name's Miriam. What up, Mom? Shout out to you, being the best mom you could be. There you go. I need glasses, man. I can't see anything anymore. Derek, what's your pick?
My pick is Judgment, which I am crazy excited for.
Go for it.
From the team that brought you the Yakuza series comes Judgment, a gritty tale of disgraced attorney Takayuki Yagami in his quest for redemption. Judgment is
Holy
the Yakuza
shit!
team.
Can we just hire you for the voice?
Judgment is the team who does the Yakuza games, which I am deeply in love with, and everybody out there who has not touched the Yakuza games should pick up Yakuza 0 as soon as they can. Judgment looks to combine the Yakuza formula, which is this like pseudo open world. It's an open world, but it's a very compact and dense open, like several city blocks of an area, with beat 'em up combat and a really, really engaging story. With it looks like they're introducing elements that are reminiscent of like old like adventure games. So the stuff where you'd have to like actually investigate an area, find your clues, find your objects, find your information that actually allows you to move into the story. If you're into old school adventure games, think Grim Fandango. A little bit more new school, the kind of elements you see in stuff like L.A. Noire or Phoenix Wright.
Nice.
But yeah, Judgment, it looks super good.
That was awesome.
All I needed to know was it's the successor to the Yakuza series, and I was in. Yakuza 0 is one of the best games on the PS4, bar none, and like everybody should grab it.
That's one series everybody's like, Joe, you need to play it. I'm like, okay, and just
and as soon as you do,
from PS Plus, right?
Yep.
It was PS Plus a couple months ago.
As soon as you play Yakuza 0, like, and I really do think you should start with 0,
okay.
But and play them in order, really. But once you do, you're gonna be kicking yourself. You're gonna be like, why did I wait this long?
All right, I'm down. I'm down to clown for it. And I hear like there's a lot of awesome like voice actors as well, like attached to it, like some legendary folks. I forget.
The Yakuza team. Now I don't know. I think they're doing an English dub for Judgment. They traditionally have not with the Yakuza games recently, because the Yakuza games are like the biggest movie and TV actors in Japan show up to do motion capture and voice acting for these games.
Wow.
So like the same is true for Judgment. And I don't know if they did an English dub to overdo the original Japanese voice acting. I'll have to look into that. I could go either way on that.
All right. Well, with that, that's been the drop. You actually got me interested in Judgment. What's that?
Vacation Simulator's $30 because you asked me.
Oh yeah. All right.
And also, before anyone comments, I've realized, and I think we all realize, Crest Team Racing is also out this week. Yeah. But like, I we like these games more. That's it.
Whoa.
So don't
okay, but Kyle, for you, are you going to be getting Crash Team Racing? Because I think I might.
Eventually, yes, I will be getting it.
Bohotep said to go do it. Jump on in. Who knows? I don't know. I'm Come on, Kyle. No, like for me, I just need to see a review score. For me, because I forget who said it. God, I think Trevor Starkey said it. It was just like the game's great, but it's slower. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, ugh. That's
the
like,
way to put it.
Yeah, so
I played it at PAX East too, so yeah, it was.
Yeah, weird. For me, like I have to bump up the CC on Mario Kart to like 250, or else it's too slow for me. So I really gotta take a look at that. Now, with that said, let's get into the questions, but we like to call it Andrew House's snail mail. Now, you can write in via the PS Trophy Room on Twitter or the Casa de Badbit Discord, or you can send your mail to Andrew House's house. I will then personally, every single week, fly out to Britain. Don't worry. It's like fucking mayhem over there. And like Boris Johnson gives me like a secret elevator to Andrew House's house because he's just a prick. Boris Johnson is a real asshole. He's just there to troll anybody he can. And he gets me straight to Andrew House's house. I steal his mail, put it in my pocket, take that express plane all the way to the great United States of America where everything's perfect. Don't just take my word for it. And Kyle, could you read me the first story since I can't read anymore?
Oh,
sorry, first question.
Adam Watson writes in via Twitter and asks, what's one trophy that you earned that you often think about? Adam's is that damn 500 bounties won in Diablo 3. Mm-hmm. That memory does not bring a smile to my face.
Damn. For me, it's two. the platinum for Horizon. That's just an easy one for me because if there was no Horizon, if I didn't love that game so much, it wouldn't be a trophy room. And the trophy that I will get one day, you're hearing it now here first, is the platinum to Bloodborne. That's the trophy that I'll remember. It's happening, okay? I just need to beat that game one more time. One more. And then beat that special boss at the end. And become a slug like I always wanted to be in my life. Chase your dreams. Kyle, what is your most memorable trophy?
Mine's kind of boring because it's not from games that most people think about when it comes to trophies. It's a MLB The Show trophy. It is. I was the 11th in the world to platinum MLB 17, I think.
11.
But like there was one on the Vita version. I forgot the year, where it was called Fence Post, where you had to score only one run in every inning of the game. If you scored more than one, it doesn't count. So there was a point like where I would get up to the 9th inning, and I would just put the controller down after I scored the run, and then the computer would walk, bases loaded, and then would walk in the winning another run to make it 2. And
because they knew,
and I would have to restart the whole damn game over. It took me like weeks to get that one down. God. So that is one that sticks with me. I don't know if it's worth it, but you know what? I had fun doing it.
No,
I
dude,
love the show so much.
I love it because they're just like, no, we fucking know what you're up to, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
We know what you're up to. Derek, what's a trophy and/or achievement? I'll give you a way out that you most remember.
So this is going to be really anticlimactic because I personally don't really sweat trophies and achievement.
Dude, same here.
I'm really happy the systems are there because I got a lot of friends who are like deeply invested in like, oh, you know, I just got the platinum on actually I got a buddy who just got the platinum on Bloodborne. You know, as an example. You know, and like I just never really sweated them too much. Yeah. I don't sweat them not being on Nintendo systems for the most part. I never even noticed that Steam had achievements
for the most part. Like, a joke. Yeah.
Exactly, because they're a joke. But like
just like PC gaming, bam, done.
But that's not a knock against the trophy system. Like I said, people are obviously very deeply invested. It's not the kind of thing that appeals to me. Yeah. I don't care. If I'm not getting an in-game thing for it, then I don't care.
They should be too. They really should be. The next question comes from the Winter Gamer. Kyle, would you like to read this for me?
Will we ever get games on PlayStation that will keep its value like Nintendo games, especially with first-party games because of their high quality, or are we going to keep seeing games like Spider-Man and God of War go down to a third of the release cost?
So I can actually speak to this very specifically.
Yeah, I was about to say, Derek, you used to work for Nintendo America.
I used to work for Nintendo America. I used to be involved in retail marketing. So here's the deal definitively. If you want to know why Nintendo games keep their like value over time, why they keep being priced at $60, it's because nobody trades in Nintendo games. Like first party Nintendo games, you don't find pre-owned copies of that on shelves because people are buying it and then not trading it in. When there's no alternative, right? If all that's on the street are new copies and a very limited number of pre-owned copies, there's no reason for Nintendo, and people keep buying it new, which happens with a lot of Nintendo's titles. They have no reason to ever bring the price down.
Yeah.
On top of that, Nintendo games tend to sell, historically, they sell over time. They get these monstrous, sales numbers, but it happens over several years. I mean, I remember when like New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii was selling, years and years. Mario Kart Wii is another one that was like years after its release was still selling millions of copies a year.
I mean, that's why you see Splatoon. They have all these annual updates. I know they just stopped, but like they had so many like monthly updates of like, here's a new weapon, here's this, here's that, because it's all about people coming in over time. I know so many people who did not buy Splatoon on day one, but they bought it, month 6, year 6, or year 2. Yeah.
I think it's a Nintendo culture thing broadly. Like people want to hold on because Nintendo's been around for so long, and these franchises have been around for so long. People get them, and then they want to hold on to them for the same reason they wanted to hold on to their Super Nintendo games back in the day. But then on top of that, with PlayStation and Xbox and almost all the rest of gaming, most sales are very front loaded. God of War sold most of what it was going to sell violently and explosively in that first couple of months.
Yep.
And it's just not how Nintendo games work. So like God of War is done after it's been out a couple months.
Yep.
You know, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate is going to keep selling for the next 5 years and it'll never drop in price. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think though, with the introduction of digital, here's another question for you. I think we're going to see, or with the next generation and thing like backwards compatibility. Here's where I'm going with it, Brain. You're going to see that price though, I think, plateau, right? Wouldn't you say? Like maybe we're going to see games that like stop at like $19.99. Like you're gonna see, like you're never gonna see God of War below that marker, right?
I think backwards compatibility helps with that because they stay in demand longer. If PS4 had been backwards compatible with PS3 games, you would have seen more people a couple years after the PS3 was phased out still willing to go look for PS3 games because like your used game market in physical big box stores, which is still how people prefer to do their used games. Yeah. Most people don't want to go on eBay for a copy unless it's like a rare title. But like if people aren't looking for a game and people aren't buying a game, then price plummets. Yeah. So I think that's part of it. The other thing is like, let's be real. If you're not on Sony's board of directors, you don't really need to be worried about the value long-term of the game. It's not an investment for you. Yeah. You should buy it because you love it. You should love it for the price that you paid for it. If it was a good price for how much enjoyment you felt like you got out of it. And you shouldn't see God of War. I think people tend to see something like God of War or Spider-Man dropping to $30 and then they feel upset that, that there are other people, either A, that there are other people who are getting in cheaper than they did, which like that's what it means to be an early adopter, but you still enjoyed the game. Or B, they feel like it means the game is like worth less. And maybe it is in terms of like a monetary format, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of what the game is
like,
worth to you.
We bought Spider-Man for what is it, like $150, right, for that statue? It's worth it to me. Like I always talk about like games like Red Dead Redemption. I would buy that game for $300. I love it so much. The original.
If Spider-Man was still worth $60 in stores right now, what would that do to benefit the people who bought Spider-Man and played it and enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Like other than unless it's because you want to trade it in and get more money out, but like that's the problem is everyone wants to trade those games in and nobody wants to trade in their copy of Pokemon. So like
for me, I think of like the kids who can't afford a $60 game. So are huge Spider-Man fans or have heard how great God of War is. Now finally getting a chance to pick them up. And
if anything, that's
both
better.
Up and that's what gets me excited. I want as many people to experience what I consider two of the best games of this generation, if not all time for me. So like, as many people that want to play the game, I'm all about.
Now, the most famous Seamus I've ever met in my entire life, and you could put that on the record, asked this question. With Bloodstained Ritual of the Night releasing to high praises for a crowdfunded game, what are some of your favorite crowdfunded games? Can they be games you helped fund or games you wish you helped fund? Now, this is a great question. Before the show, Derek, you and I were talking about you funded this game for $60, right?
I backed Bloodstained. I'm pretty happy with it. I know that it can be iffy sometimes with Kickstarter games. Like I backed Ukulele and I was not as happy with that. Like I wasn't as down on it as a lot of people, but like, but then like Shovel Knight was amazing. Shovel Knight is like the gift that keeps on giving. So, if we're allowed to talk board games, the Dark Souls board game was a pretty good investment.
Dude, is it really?
Yeah, I liked it. I like playing it. I'm waiting on the next wave of expansion stuff to come that I paid for. I dropped big on that board game.
Yeah.
And then just recently we had the Kickstarter for R-Type Final 2, which I'm a big R-Type fan. I loved R-Type Final. And I backed that game and it got funded and I'm really hoping that I don't get screwed on that one in a couple of years.
Yeah. For me, I don't crowdfund anything, man. I'm a college student still, so I can't toss
feel it, man. Feel it.
Bucks, Yeah. Kyle, is there any game
I haven't crowdfunded any games. I helped kickstart our mutual friend's pin little business.
All right. Kelsey's pin.
But as far as like games I wish I helped fund, it is Bloodstained. Like I've always like I was interested in that type of game, and I knew what the lineage of Iga, and like I wanted to contribute to it, and not I'm being broke all the time doesn't help.
Dude, it never does for me either.
No.
Yeah,
and it's one thing like where now I am more in tune to look at the Kickstarters and look at all these crowdfunding sites and see what's there, because there's a bunch of games there. Like last week at E3, the Skatebird game that was on Kind of Funny Game Showcase.
dope.
The
Dope.
skateboarding Tony Hawk game with a bird. That's being crowdfunded. I might back that.
Sign me up.
If I have some money.
Yeah, actually, I just remembered I crowdfunded the Chicken Wiggle HD remake that's coming out, because that looks really good. I like the art style a lot. So yeah, and with that, let me see if I got one more on Twitter.
We got one more on the dock there, Joe.
Oh, do we really? Oh, thank you. Thank you, because it's on like the final page. Nathan writes in, now that we can reflect on E3 being a week out, what should the strategy that Sony uses for the rest of this generation? Is there anything they can do to have the PlayStation outperform the PS2? It should pass the PS1 soon. I don't think it's passing the PS2. There's just no way, right?
But it's more profitable for them, right? We've heard, because PS4 is on top of the fact that, like, if you're concerned about Sony doing well, PS4, they're selling online subscriptions.
Yep.
They're selling more games to the average PlayStation 4 owner than they did to the average PlayStation 2 owner.
PS Now, right?
Yeah, PS Now. So like their services, and they're selling more games and accessories than they used to. Like Sony's doing fine, and they don't need to beat PS2. Like Sony still got that #1 spot, if that's what you're concerned about. Yeah. Like they don't need to beat their own number. It's good.
Yeah, and I think this generation is going to teach us to get out of that mindset as we move to the platform. Like you're looking at Xbox. Xbox is the most profitable that company's ever been under Phil Spencer, and guess what? It's selling. I mean, if you want to look at it, it's underperformed theoretically, if we're just talking raw numbers, than the 360, right? By like half. But they're making the most money they ever had.
Sold.
Yeah, it's about Game Pass Ultimate, Xbox Live, right? Like it's about all those recurring fees that they get you over time with. So yeah, no, I don't think so. Kyle, anything you have to say, sir?
I think on the other side of the coin there, as far as getting Sony into the mind of everyone else, like I think the state of plays are good. I think having that continue throughout this gen and
help refine
or
it,
or at least until next E3, because I can assume they're going to be back next year.
Yep.
I think that's a good strategy to keep dropping every other month. Like, hey, here's some Sony news. Like just all compiled in one thing. Fingers crossed that they're going to announce PSX this year, because I so badly want to go back.
We're going.
Surely.
Yeah, I hope so.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think Sony's killing it, so they don't need to worry.
Yeah, they don't need to worry. Don't worry about it. Again, PS2, that's such a mythical number. It's fine, unless there's a new form of media that Sony catches on quick to, it's not going to hit that number. But yeah, we don't need to stress it. It's going to sell freaking awesome. PlayStation 4 has been, as this generation goes on, has been one of my favorite consoles of just all time. And I thought this generation started out pretty weak, and it's ended with such a big bang that is, just so freaking good.
It's not over yet either.
It's not over yet. We still got The Last of Us.
Still got Last of Us, still got Ghost of Tsushima that people are I think, hitting.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, I think people are overwriting, but that's for another time.
Yeah. I don't even know what that game is. I'm buying a baby edition, I'm buying a literal little baby in a goddamn suitcase. Jesus Christ.
That's going to be hard to explain to people.
Oh, it's going to be impossible. And my mom walks in, she's like, what the fuck? With that, that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
It's been such a hectic week for me here, man. I've just been all scattered-brained. Guys, let's plug, and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Starting with you, Derek. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at Derek of the Dykes. You can also find me at SDGC, which is on most platforms as official SDGC. That's Super Deformed Gamescast SDGC. I stream kind of casually, and my Twitter is less directly focused on gaming news and is more personal. The show itself at SDGC is focused on we're more hard industry news than like game impressions, and we try to take a very openly progressive, very openly inviting kind of atmosphere and take on most news. Very pro-union and stuff like that. So yeah, you can follow me in all those various places.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derek, for coming, by the way.
Yes,
thanks for having me, guys.
Fantastic. And I couldn't ask for anybody better, man. Thank you so much. Kyle, where can they find you, good sir?
You can find me on Twitter at WhoDatNinja73 and on PSN, so send me those friend requests. You can find my show all about the kind of funny community called Best Friends Talk Funny on Twitter at BFS Talk Funny and wherever you listen to podcast services. And then my final thing is Dollar Slice Podcast, which is a kind of NYC show where we just talk about all the nerdy things that we love. And you can find that on Twitter at Dollar Slice Pod.
Kyle, you're doing so much nowadays, you know?
I'm doing too much, some might say.
You know what? I'm about to say too much right here. You can follow me at Mr. Badbit. You can follow the show at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find the show on youtube.com/badbitgames. Look it up on the search where we talk about all things PlayStation and games. And you can find the podcast on RSS feeds around the globe, whether that's iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify. We're on everything, so you could go find us there. And so with all that said, and with all that out of the way, everybody keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation. And this is the part where we usually, you can finger guns, but we like to wave. We're a waving type.